Hi, it's Nikki and welcome back to Live a Little, your cozy corner of the internet where we discuss all of the in-between parts of life, the messy, honest and unfiltered bits where you may not always feel like you have someone to discuss them with, but we do it all judgment-free around here. Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing okay. I have had quite a week. I spent last week in Vienna at the United Nations doing a little talk, as you do. They do a conference called Zero Project, which is hosted at the United Nations in Vienna. It was my first time going, but it's basically one of the biggest conferences for people with disabilities. So I had the honor of speaking there, but I was so scared. I did a 15-minute speech. Last year, I went to the United Nations in Geneva, which is like the headquarters of the United Nations. And humble brag, I was speaking on a panel and it was scary in a different way because it was my first time. I'd also just severely lost my voice and had laryngitis, so that was terrible. Pharyngitis, one of the itises. So I was like struggling, just about surviving to get words out. But we also had a timer, so you had to make sure it was under, I think it was like 5 minutes or 8 minutes or something. So that was scaring me because I had a timer staring me in the face while I was trying to do my speech and also not read it too fast out of nervousness. But yeah, I remember just literally blacking out while I did it. This time I was the only one talking, so it had its own scary parts, but it was less scary because last time it was every country with their name tag of like Jamaica, China, the UK or England, America. It had all of these countries' name tags and their representatives in front of me listening to me do a speech, which was so scary. Whereas this time it was slightly more, I guess, less scary people with disabilities, people in tech, people in organizations. So it felt a little bit more welcoming, I guess you could say, or just less intimidating. It was a 15-minute speech. And the first thing that goes when I'm anxious is my ability to talk. Suddenly I'm speaking another language. I'm literally speaking Pig Latin. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I get so scared. My speech, I didn't realize was really chunky and should have had more gaps in it. So it meant that I would look up because I wanted to address the people that I was speaking to. But then I'd look back down, completely lose my track of where I was reading from. And then I was like, fuck. I like panicked a bit because for a second I lost my track. And my mum actually was with me. She said, like, you could hear you going, oh, when you lost your track. And I was like, oh no, because I had a mic in front of me. I was on a lectern, which I never knew that was a thing. You know, the kind of mount you stand on with the microphone is called a lectern. I think that's what it's called. Lector, something like that. And she said you could hear you kind of going, oh, this is my problem. I'm such a glass half empty person because I will do really well in a speech, lose my track of thought for literally 10 seconds to me, which feels like an eternity, obviously, and then be so hard on myself and not be able to see that I still did well. Like, I'm like, no, that was rubbish. And I'm really disappointed in myself and like, it wasn't the best that I could do. And I had people coming up to me and saying, you did so well, or your speech was enlightening. It's been my favorite speech of the whole conference so far, which is all amazing and lovely. But all I could think in my head was of that 10-second mess up. And that's something that I really need to get better at. There's no like levity or brevity. I can only see the things I've done. We all do it as humans. We focus on like the wrongs, not the rights. But for me, it's like I can only see I did bad. I can't see, yeah, that was annoying. I messed up a little bit, but on we go. I'm trying a little bit more to have a slightly more nuanced mindset and be like, two things can exist at the same time. Sure, maybe that was annoying, but I also did really well considering. It physically pissed me off that I messed up that bit. And then I kind of was just like really quiet for the next 2 hours. I fixated on that and that's all I could think about. But then like now it's fine. I need to really get better at that where I'm like, it was okay. You did it. Well done. Pat yourself on the back, not just like, this is how you messed up. This was rubbish. That's what I was up to last week, and it was really snowy in Vienna, which was a bit anxiety inducing in terms of traveling home and making sure we got home the day that we planned, which we did. Luckily, all other flights were cancelled, but it was super pretty because I don't remember the last time it properly snowed here in London. It's been a while. Being able to just kind of see it, and Vienna is really beautiful, so being able to just see it, even just, you know, watching the snowfall was, yeah, super, super pretty and magical. But yeah, welcome. I wanted to also start with a little segment called Open Tabs, where I basically discuss all of the tabs that have been in my head and open over the past week. So the things that I have been thinking about over the past week, firstly, a tab of something that I have loved and have been loving is, it's done now, but the Winter Olympics. I was so into the Winter Olympics this year. I don't feel like I watched the Summer Olympics or the other Olympics that much compared to the winter ones. I think there's something so impressive about the skeleton or free air skiing or snowboarding or figure skating, like some of the things that these people are doing, and the fact that normally there's a lot of snow involved in them. I just find it so impressive. It doesn't feel like these people that go to the Olympics are human, to be honest. It's crazy. But I loved it, especially I've really got into hockey. Call it the heated rivalry effect, but I really have. And I was just saying to Poppy, my producer, that I'm actually literally going to a hockey game in about a week's time. So call it performative, call it what you want, but I'm genuinely really into it. I watched the Canada versus USA hockey game, really enjoyed it. I love how in hockey there's no rules. In the Olympics there is, but in normal hockey there's no rules. You can literally just chuck your gloves on the floor and start fighting. So it's like a bit of boxing, it's a bit of skating, it's a bit of almost football with the, what's it called? The part. I'm just really enjoying it. So that's my new hyperfixation. And then something that has been living rent free in my head is, oh my goodness, I don't know if you've seen, but there was this monkey in Thailand, I think, called Punch. And it's this little monkey. And a video came out where Punch is being basically picked on by a bigger monkey. And then he runs away and goes and hides and grabs onto a teddy version of a monkey. I think it's literally this toy monkey from IKEA, and he's cuddling this monkey and trying to hide and console himself, and the internet has honestly gone crazy about it, and I'm struggling to watch it because it's making me feel so upset. It's the last thing that I need when I'm feeling overly emotional. It takes nothing to set me off. So that's something that's been living rent free in my head, as well as just like my talk from Vienna and that being over and done with, because that was intense and all I could think about till it was over. And a tab that needs closing in my mind and just needs closing in the world is, well, in the UK, is the rain. Look, I get we need the rain. I get we need every type of weather, but we have literally not had one day this year in the UK that hasn't rained. Not one day. And I know there's other parts of the world that's even more rainy and even more like extreme and torrential. But my mood, I struggle a lot with seasonal depression. I think it's also being a summer baby, being a Cancer. I'm very easily swayed and kind of affected by changes like the weather. And if I don't wake up to the sun shining one day soon, I actually am going to go crazy. Like, I'm not going to be able to cope. So that's the tab that needs to be shut, is having rain every single day. Today's the first day I've walked to the podcast studio and I've not had my umbrella up. But you know what? I might leave and I might need to get my umbrella out. So God knows. I'm craving a European summer right now. UV10. Please, thank you very much. But yeah, those are my tabs. Let me know what yours are, because I'm very, very curious. But those are the things that have been occupying my head in the last week. For today's episode, I wanted to do something a little bit different, a bit more interactive, you could say. You may know what this is by the title, or you may not. I wanted to do something a bit lighter, so I'm taking a myers-briggs personality test and talking through my answers as we go. Just to kind of preface, I'm not treating this test as a scientifically perfect answer to who I am. It's just a bit of fun and a bit of reflection and almost validation sometimes, and self-awareness. The last thing any of us need is to put ourselves into more boxes, but to me this is just a little bit of fun. Personality tests, in my opinion, are almost like adult games and quizzes. A little like, let's see what this says, let's see what the results are. It's not deep and sometimes quite accurate. So it's kind of, to me, like zodiac signs, where you can resonate with some things and leave the rest, and identify with some and leave the rest of it. When I was younger, I used to be obsessed with online games or quizzes or things like that. There was this crush game where you could put your name and your crush's name into this compatibility generator. It was obviously a load of BS, but at the time I took it as verbatim, like, this person's going to be my soulmate because it said we're 90% compatible based on our names. And I remember I'd put in Nikki and the person, and then I'd be like Nicole, because that's my actual name, and the person. And then I would just take whichever one had the highest percentage and just take that as, okay, so now this person is obviously my soulmate. So to me, it's just that same vibe, same energy today. But instead of are we soulmates, it's why am I like this, or a bit more of a self-awareness analysis. So bit of a background on the myers-briggs test. It's a personality framework that gives you 4 letters based on 4 preference pairs. Not good or bad, just tendencies. A lot of people have opinions on it, so I'm not trying to say like do this and take that and run with it. We're just keeping it light today. There's E versus I, which is where you tend to get your energy from people and the outside world, or from alone time and your inner world. And then there's S versus N, which is how you take in information through concrete details or patterns or possibilities. And then there is T versus F, which is how you make decisions through logic and principles, or through values and impact on people. And then there's J versus P, which is how you like to live day to day, structure and closure, or flexibility and options. So you basically end up with one of 16 types based on those 4 letters and how they're made up by the answers that you give. I like doing these quizzes because these quizzes, whenever I say quiz, it makes me think of when Tom Holland did an interview or a test with BuzzFeed, and he keeps saying, I don't like these quizzes. And now every time I say quiz, it's making me want to say quizzes. The reason I like taking these tests is because they give you language to patterns you may already feel but not have the justification for. So they're basically like a mirror or journaling prompt generator, basically. Like, you could use some of the questions they ask you in this as just things to reflect on in your journal or in day-to-day life to ask yourself, and they can help you be kinder to yourself because you understand your wiring a bit more. It's the same with me getting my aura ring recently. Like, if it tells me I've had a bad night's sleep, I then feel more justified to feel like I've had a bad night's sleep and tell myself, you're not lazy, you've literally not slept enough. But of course, I'm not outsourcing my identity based on this. Before I even look at my results, I want to guess what my letters will be because I feel like that's where the fun is. So E versus I would say that I am an I, which is introvert, because I think that's a very well-known thing. Do you need to disappear to recover? 100%. S versus N. Do I live in ideas and meanings? Do I trust facts and details? That's a hard one because I like control. So facts and details feel like control. But then I live my life probably more with ideas and meaning. I don't know, maybe N? Do I default to what makes sense or what feels right? I think F, what feels right and who gets affected, being a people pleaser. J, do I need to plan or do I need options? Need to plan, so definitely J. So I think I'm going to be INFJ. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Okay, here we go. So the Myers-Briggs test you can take online. There's a few different ones. I've ended up buying one because this apparently is the official one, but I'm sure I could have just done a free one. That's me being like, no, I need to do the accurate right one. Let's see. It says it's the world's most widely used personality tool. Once you've completed the questionnaire, jump into our type verification. Here we'll introduce you some basic ideas about your personality type, and you'll start to think about how these apply to your personality. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's making me sign in again. I just signed in. This reminds me of when I used to be at school and they'd give you a multiple choice quiz. And whenever I didn't know the answer, I'd just be like, okay, I just did B. Now let's mix it up and do a D. Okay, here we go. Finally, it was asking me everything in the kitchen sink. Which response comes closer to describing how you usually feel or act? When you go somewhere for the day, would you rather plan what you will do and when, or just go? 100% plan what I'll do and when. I'm so type A. If you were a teacher, would you rather teach fact courses or courses involving theory? Oh, that's a hard one. Theory is probably a bit more interesting because fact is just fact, isn't it? Are you usually a good mixer or rather quiet and reserved? Externally, I'd say people think I'm a good mixer, but IRL, probably more quiet and reserved. I'll say maybe quiet and reserved because I'd rather be alone than with people. Do you usually get along better with imaginative people or realistic people? Oh, that's a hard one because I'm kind of in the middle. Maybe realistic people just because I love people that are dreamers and away with the fairies. But I also feel like my life's been very difficult. So people that keep it real, I appreciate more, but also can, dream big and see a bigger picture. Do you more often let your heart rule your head or your head rule your heart? Heart rule my head, 1000%. I wish my head ruled my heart. When you are with a group of people, would you rather join in the talk of the group or talk individually with people you know well? Talk individually with people I know well, 100%. Do you prefer to do many things on the spur of the moment or according to your plans? According to my plans. Would you rather be considered a practical person or an ingenious person? I would say I'm a practical person, reliable. In a large group, do you often introduce others or get introduced? Maybe introduce others depending on if I know the group or not. Are you more attracted to a person with quick and brilliant mind or a person with a lot of common sense? Is it bad to say common sense? I feel like I do want someone that is quick and is brilliant, but I feel like when you're going through shit, you need someone that is able to think logically and have some common sense. And I'm very lead with emotions, so I feel like someone that has a bit more of like a kind of common sense and a logical mind would be good for me. Do you follow a schedule that appeals to you or cramps you? Probably cramps me at the moment. Would you say it genuinely takes others a lot of time to get to know you, a little time to get to know you, a lot of time to actually get to know me? Does the idea of making a list of what you should get done over a weekend appeal to you or leave you cold? Appeal to me. Is it a higher compliment to be called a person of real feeling or a consistently reasonable person? Real feeling, 100%. Do you tend to spend a lot of time by yourself or with others? By myself. In your daily work, do you rather enjoy an emergency that makes you work against time? Hell no. Usually plan your work so you won't feel the pressure, 100%, but I'll still end up leaving it till the last minute. Would you rather have a friend which is always coming up with new ideas or has both feet on the ground? Both feet on the ground. When you have a special job to do you like to organise it carefully before you start or find out what is necessary as you go along? Organise it carefully before I start. Are you inclined to value sentiment more than logic or logic more than sentiment? Sentiment more than logic. My emotional side of my brain. In reading for pleasure, do you enjoy odd or original ways of saying things or like writers say exactly what they mean? Odd or original, probably. Can the new people you meet tell what you are interested in right away or only after they really get to know you? Probably right away. Depends how the conversation goes. In doing something that many other people do, does it appeal to you more to do it in the accepted way or invent another way of your own? Probably accepted because I like control. Would most people say you're a private person or an open person? I'm very open, but I'm also quite private. So maybe an open person, because I will literally tell you my deepest, darkest secrets from the moment I meet you if I feel comfortable with you. Doesn't take much. Which word in pairs appeals to you more? Think about what the word means, not how they look or sound. Scheduled, unplanned. Scheduled, gentle or firm, gentle. Facts and ideas. Ooh, ideas, thinking, feeling, convincing, touching. Oh, that's a really weird one. Convincing, touching. Maybe they mean like emotionally touching. Statement, concept, statement probably. Analyze, sympathize. Systematic, spontaneous, systematic. Sensitive, just, sensitive. Reserved, talkative. I'm kind of both. I have to be in the mood to be talkative, so probably more reserved. Compassionate, foresight, compassionate. Quiet, outgoing, probably quiet. Idea, actuality at this moment in time. I'm a realist. Strong-willed, tender-hearted. Objective, passionate. Warm, objective, warm. Sensible, fascinating. Probably sensible, though I'd like to be mysterious and fascinating. Compassionate, logical, compassionate. Wish I was more logical. Production, design probably. Impulse, decision. Fair-minded, caring, probably caring. Analytical, sentimental. God, these are all just words. I kind of love this. Unconstrained, scheduled. Concrete, abstract, concrete. This is all just my need for control. Like a lot of these questions are going to be just that. Practical, sentimental, probably still sentimental. Open, private. I'm an open person. Build, invent, build. Imaginative, realistic. I am imaginative, but probably more a realist now, just based on what I've been through and being let down, that I kind of am a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit of a pessimist, that's the word. Competent, kind-hearted, Kind-hearted. Competent's crazy. Theory, fact. You've asked me this. Theory. Few friends, lots of friends. Few friends now. When I was younger, I probably would have said lots of friends. Possibilities, certainties. Certainties. Make me feel in control. Big-hearted, firm-minded. Big-hearted. Novel, already known. Novel, because then you learn. Tenderness or strength. I think tenderness is a strength. Practical, innovative. Probably practical. Punctual, leisurely. Punctual, I feel like is more respectful, but I like arriving to things late if I can help it. Calm, lively. Calm. Expected, unexpected. 100% expected. Peacemaker, judge. Peacemaker, although I do like to be a Judge Judy at times. Unusual, customary. Customary. Changing, permanent. Permanent. I don't like change. Sociable, detached. Oh, depends on the day. Maybe detached. Literal, figurative. Literal. Again, physical. Which response becomes closer to describing how you usually feel or act? Do you find being around a lot of people gives you more energy or is often draining? Draining. When making a decision, is it more important to you to weigh in the facts or consider people's feelings and opinions? I like weighing in the facts, and the facts give me certainty, but I think I'm more clouded by how people will feel. Being a people pleaser. Do you generally prefer to, oh my God, I did the Love Island thing where they say genuinely instead of generally and generally instead of genuinely. No. Do you generally prefer to make your social engagements some distance ahead or be free to do things spur of the moment? Probably some distance ahead, but like things can always change so long as there's still a bit of a loose plan. We're getting through it. We're halfway through, guys. At parties, do you sometimes get bored or always have fun? Get bored. I want to leave as soon as I get there. In most instances, do you prefer to go with the flow or follow a schedule? Go with the, no, not go with the flow. Follow a schedule. God, I'm sounding really fun, aren't I? I'm just like structure, control, certainty, plan. Do you usually mingle well with others? Tend to keep more to yourself? I mingle, but only if they speak to me first. Do you prefer to wait and see what happens and then make plans or plan things far in advance? Plan things far in advance. Do you generally prefer courses that teach concepts and principles or facts and figures? Concepts and principles, because I kind of like philosophy and stuff, so that gives that a bit more. At parties, do you do much talking or let others do more talking? If I'm drunk, probably do more talking. Do you consider yourself to be spontaneous or organized? Organized. My brain's like, I'd like to say spontaneous, but no. Which is a higher compliment to be called, competent or compassionate? I don't think competent is a compliment. Imagine saying to someone, you're so competent. That's probably the worst backhand compliment you could ever get. Do you find going by a schedule necessary at times, but genuine, oh my God, I'm doing it again. Generally unfavorable or helpful and favorable, probably helpful and favorable. In social situations, do you generally find it difficult to start and maintain a conversation with some people? Easy to talk to most people for long periods of time? Depends on the person, but I struggle to start conversations quite a bit, unless I'm like good friends with them. Would you prefer to do most things according to how you feel that particular day or a set schedule? I like a set schedule, but if I'm feeling, say, sad or a bit low or really motivated, then I want to go, like I'll do more if I feel more up to it, or I'll do less if I feel less up to it. Maybe just on the particular day, but I do normally write out a schedule each day if there's too much going on in my head. Are you more careful about people's feelings or their rights? Oh, that's a weird one. Their rights, like their human rights? People's feelings or their rights? I mean, instantly I'm going to feelings. I don't really know what they mean by rights. Do you rather prefer to do things last minute, or doing things last minute is hard on the nerves? Hard on the nerves. I feel like all of these questions are the same things packaged in different ways, but I guess it just gives it more certainty maybe. Do you usually show your feelings freely, keep your feelings to yourself, keep them to myself? Although I am a very wear my heart on my sleeve person. When you meet strangers, do you find it pleasant or at least easy, or something that takes a good deal of effort? I like talking to strangers, I do. Like on the way back from Vienna, I had a really nice conversation with someone who lives in Vienna, and we were speaking for literally like 45 minutes, me and my mum to him. So in that sense, it is pleasant and it is really nice, and it kind of gives you faith in humanity again when you meet a nice stranger. Or there's another time where I went to a pottery lesson with my friend Alicia, and there was just a guy there who was doing pottery. He'd come by himself, which I love. Such a good thing to do by yourself, and kind of links back to my episode about not being embarrassed to spend time with yourself and doing stuff in your own company. But we after walked to a coffee shop, and just he was like, oh, where are you guys off to now? And we were like, oh, we're just going to go get a coffee or get a matcha. And then he just came with us, and we just sat and spoke to him for like 20 minutes. I couldn't even tell you his name, but that's kind of what's nice about strange interactions, is it feels very easy and like, okay, I'm probably never going to see you again, but that's fine. There's no strings attached really. But then I'd say otherwise, especially in my job, it takes a good deal of effort to speak to strangers because there's often like an ulterior motive sometimes. Do you think that having a daily routine is a comfortable way to get things done? Yeah, because it gives you consistency. Do you think you get more enthusiastic about things than the average person? Less enthusiastic, probably. When you're at a party, do you like to help get things going, let others have fun in their own way? I try to help get things going, but I'm definitely not the life of the party. When it is settled well in advance that you do a certain thing at a certain time, do you find it nice to be able to plan accordingly, or a little unpleasant to be tied down? Nice. Is it your habit to confide in nobody, or at most in one person, or have a number of confidential friends? I do have a number of very close friends now. Probably I can count them on my hand, like 4 people or 5 people that I genuinely feel like I could speak to them about anything. But I just by default am more used to dealing with things alone, so therefore probably confiding in nobody. Tracks back to just me not wanting to burden people, so therefore I'm like, I'll just bottle it up and deal with it by myself. When you have a suggestion that ought to be made at a meeting, do you stand up and make it as a matter of course, or hesitate? Does it sound more attractive to you to live systematically or very fully at the expense of a little chaos? Systematically but fully. Like, I want to live systematically with a sense of control and certainty. And like, chaos is like the worst thing in my life. I hate chaos. But I want to live it fully still. Probably systematically. Oh God, I'm sounding so boring. Which word in each pair appeals to you more? Abstract, solid. Abstract, probably. Firm-minded, warm-hearted. Hearty, quiet, hearty. Uncritical, critical. Uncritical of others, I am. Critical to myself. I don't know then. Do I say uncritical or critical? Because I'm probably more critical. No nonsense, theoretical. No nonsense. Systematic, casual. Systematic. Theory, certainty. Soft, hard, soft. Imaginative, matter of fact. Imaginative, justice, mercy, justice. Make, create. What's the difference? Probably create. Sounds more imaginative. Quiet, gregarious, quiet. Not heard the word gregarious in a while. Orderly, easygoing. Orderly, unfortunately. Popular, intimate. Although when I was younger, I would have said popular. Sign, symbol. Sign. Don't know what that means. Don't know how that applies to this, but okay. Peace sign. Figurative. No, that's not figurative. Forgive. Tolerate. Forgive or tolerate. I feel like they mean the same thing, kind of. Forgive. Speak, write. Oh, probably speak, actually. Theory, experience. Approve, question. Approve. Accept, change. I guess it means like, do you accept your circumstance or you try and change it? Like, does it mean that? Or does it mean to try and like to accept something? Or to try and change it like in a negative way? This is me being an overthinker here. Like, it's the most simple bloody question. Accept or change? To be or not to be? Accept or change? Change. Agree, discuss. Depends what it is. I hate that there's no grey area with this. Known, unknown, known. Dissect, applaud. Depends if they deserve applauding, but I'll say applaud. Fluid, solid. What? Is this science? Fluid or solid? Solid, probably. Stays the same. Which response comes closer to describing how you usually feel or act? Do you prefer to arrange dates, parties well in advance? I know what the other one is. Arrange dates. Can you talk easily to almost anyone for a long as long as you have to. Find a lot to say only to certain people. Yeah, under certain conditions, that one. In planning a trip, would you prefer most of the time to do whatever you feel like on the day? No ahead of time. No ahead of time. Because I feel like then you get the most out of it. But of course you can take detours, but have a bit of an idea what you want to do. Are you easy to get to know, hard to get to know? Externally easy to get to know, but to actually crack me, probably quite hard to get to know. But I'll say easy because I am approachable. Okay, nearly there, guys. When you start a big project that is due in a week, do you take time to list the separate things to be done or plug in and do it all at once? Probably take time to make a list, but I end up just sitting there and banging it all out at once. Can you keep a conversation going indefinitely? Only with people who share some interests, yeah. Overall, when working on a big assignment, do you tend to figure out what needs to be done as you go along? Begin by breaking it down. If it's able to be broken down. Would you rather support established methods of doing good or analyze what is still wrong and attack unsolved problems? Try and focus on the good, although I'm pretty critical. Do you find what you look for in a friend in many different kinds of people? Only in people with some special quality? Yeah, special quality. Is it hard for you to adapt to routine or constant change? I struggle to adapt to constant change. Do you admire more the people who are conventional enough never to make themselves conspicuous, or too original an individual to care whether they are conspicuous or not? Too original, probably. Among your friends, are you one of the last to hear what is going on, full of news about everybody? I wouldn't say I'm the last to hear what's going on, but I also don't have loads of news to present to anybody. So probably last to hear what's going on because I'm also not very good with my phone. Is it a higher praise to you to say someone has vision or common sense? Vision? Do you tend to have deep friendships with very few people or the latter? Deep friendships, 100%. In getting a job done, do you depend upon starting early so you finish with spare time? Yeah. When you don't agree with what's been said, do you usually let it go or put up an argument? Depends who it's with. If it's with my mum and we're having a casual argument, probably not let it go till that person understands what they've done. I'm quite stubborn. Do you think the people close to you know how you feel about most things, or only when you have had some special reason to tell them? I feel like if I'm talking about my closest people, my parents, they probably know how I feel, but do I actively tell them? No. So probably only when I have a special reason to tell them, maybe. In your way of living, do you prefer to be original or conventional? Original. That's kind of been my whole life. At social gatherings, do you try to corner somebody you like to talk to, mix with the group? I'm not going to corner someone. I'll try and mix with people. Do you look upon routine as a desirable way of preventing slip-ups? 100%. When you meet strangers, do you find it pleasant or at least easy or something that takes a good deal of effort? Again, probably pleasant. Are you more likely to speak up in praise or in blame? In praise. Do you get real satisfaction out of doing a task before it's actually had to be done? Yeah. Do you prefer to think about a matter by talking it over with someone, mulling it over in your mind? Probably talking it over, but still, even if I talk it over, it's what's going on in my mind that will actually make a difference. Do you usually value sentiment more than logic more than sentiment? Sentiment, unfortunately. Wish I was more logic. When you're in a group of good friends, do you do more than you share? Oh my God, I can't read. When you're with a group of your good friends, do you do more than your share of the talking? Okay, do I basically talk more or do I talk less? You don't have to make it that confusing. I would say that I do quite a bit of talking, but I also make sure that I let that person speak. It kind of depends who's got the news to share or who's going through stuff and has stuff to share. Also depends what people I'm with. In any ordinary emergencies of everyday life, do you prefer to take orders and be helpful or give orders and be responsible? Take orders. Okay, that's it. Here we go. Submit. I'm scared. This feels like a job application. Okay, so I said INFJ. What does it say? Why am I anxious? Yeah, so it basically says personality type is made up of 4 elements. Each element is made up of 2 opposite ways of being. You have a natural preference for one of the 2 opposites in each element. Your preferences are represented by the letters. Your 4 preferences combine and interact to form your whole personality type, which I knew. I just want to get my answers. Can you just No, it's just been you need to look through all of this stuff. Well, it's asking me more questions. Stop. Oh my God. How do you decide and come to a conclusion by thinking, by feeling, probably by feeling, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm an ISFJ, which when I last did this test, which was years ago, like when I was like 14, I was an INFJ. What was N? Okay, continue. What's it telling me? It will like tell you about your personal development based on your personality type, relationships, and well-being. So let's see. An ISFJ is identified by being dependable and considerate, committed to the people and groups with which you are associated, and faithful in carrying out responsibilities. I'd say that's pretty true. What was N though? Trust in facts and details. So that's what's different versus meaning. Yeah, I guess I like certainty. Let's look at stress. Oh my God, it's asking me more questions. I'm not doing that. New results. Okay, here we go. Practical helper. Quiet, friendly, responsible, and conscientious. You can be depended on to meet your obligations. Friends describe you as thorough, careful, and accurate. You're loyal and considerate of others, often noticing and responding to the feelings of people you care about. Yep. You like to create order and harmony both at work and at home. 1000%. Okay, let's view what it says. It's so I is introversion, S is sensing, so facts and having things that are tangible, F is feeling, and J is judging. So the J is still, the thing that's different is the sensing. Characteristics of ISFJs. They are committed and steady in meeting their obligations. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm steady. I'm quite erratic, but I would say that if I know I've got to do something, then I will do it. I want to do it properly. They strive to create an orderly, harmonious environment. They are mainly interested in the realities they perceive with their five senses. ISFJs are guided by their personal values. They are committed to preserving and celebrating traditions. With others, they honour commitments. They work to preserve traditions. They focus on what people need and want. They often put the needs of others, especially family members, ahead of their own. Yeah, very true. ISFJs are uncomfortable with confrontation and will go a long way to accommodate others. Yeah, basically, people pleasers. ISFJs at work, they establish orderly procedures to meet people's needs. They take care to collect the facts necessary to support their evaluations. Yeah, I am quite emotional though. They are patient with particulars and procedures. Oh my God, I'm not patient. I don't know if I think this is correct, this part. They can and will do the little things they need to be done to carry a project through to completion. Their perseverance tends to stabilize everything with which they are connected. I don't know if I believe that. Potential blind spots of ISFJs. If ISFJs have not developed their sensing preference, they may rush into judgment and action without considering new information. If they do ignore important facts, they may pursue their goals unyieldingly and not adjust to new information then necessary. That probably makes sense. If they have not developed their feeling preferences, ISFJs may not be reliable ways of dealing with the world. They may retreat to their inner world, becoming silently absorbed in their memories and impressions. Yeah, that's very true. I retreat a lot. They may also have difficulty communicating their internal sensory impressions of a person or an event. That's very true. ISFJs may be somewhat suspicious of imagination and intuition and may not take them seriously. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely an emotional person. Like, I lead with emotion, but I do think maybe I value facts more because they feel real. So maybe that's where the S comes in. I see that as fair. I see that making sense. That was actually fun. Like, I enjoyed doing it, but do I feel like I've learned anything in particular? Not necessarily. I mean, these are the words associated with an ISFJ: practical, realistic, concrete, observant, considerate, cooperative, kind, friendly, sensitive, faithful, loyal, quiet, unassuming, thoughtful, orderly, conscientious, responsible, dependable. I mean, I would say that is pretty accurate. Last time I did it, it was telling me about like what then I'm like in relationships and stuff, and it hasn't really done that. But I guess it's basically saying that I'm someone that's reliable, I'm someone that likes facts and is very loyal, but is also very sensitive. And that is something that I'd all say is very true. But I am kind of surprised about the S. I wonder how common an ISFJ is, because I know an INFJ is one of the rarest types you can get, and that is what I got last time. I think I used to be such a people pleaser that I led everything based on like meaning and emotion, and I had no sense of right and wrong because I just wanted to be accepted. Whereas now I feel like if there is like a definitive right and wrong in front of me, I'm obviously going to lead more with the facts there than just the feelings, you know, because my feelings can often sway me in the wrong direction because of them being just too much and my overthinking tendencies. So I think that's what I've learned. But it has been really interesting to do this. And I think sometimes it helps you make sense of your sense of self. Obviously, again, like I said, do not use this as verbatim. Do not use this as something to then define other people by or yourself by. It's a little bit of fun. And it's something that if you've got a bit of spare time, they have free ones out there. Don't know why I bought one, but it costs nothing. But I'd say, yeah, I generally agree with it. Do I think it's pretty generic still? Maybe, but it is accurate. Like I'd say everything that's been said here, as someone that is self-aware, it does make sense. What I would love to ask you is if you do this, what you get. I would love to know by you commenting on whatever platform you're listening to this on or watching this on, if you can, what you get. I'd really love to know. I now want all of my family members to do this and compare notes of what each of us got. Ultimately, instead of doing this and it then putting you into a box of what type you are, instead ask yourself, what environments make me feel most like myself? It's actually for me been a bit of reflection and self-growth, realizing that back in when I did this at 13 or 14, when it gave me, you know, popular or quiet or whatever it was, or many or few in terms of friends, I really would have said back then, many. More is more, popular is best, all of these things. But now I've really realized they mean nothing, and I'd much rather have reliable, true friends and count them in a small way than a bunch of people that are just kind of there and not really my friends. What I feel like I've loved most about this is how it's made me reflect on what I would have answered before and what the self-growth I've had in what I'd answer now and how those are positive things. So I think that can be nice as well. It's just a little bit of a way to reflect on where you've been and where you're going, because that matters more than 4 letters, and it can just leave you feeling like I feel quite proud of myself that I now have more sense of secureness and a surety in myself and my sense of self. So if you're listening and you know your type, then let me know what it is and what parts of it you relate to and what parts you don't. But this was just a bit of fun. I loved this. It was kind of fun to do a slightly more interactive episode. God, did it take me a long time to get through those questions, and were most of them just like triple the same questions just over and over and over again. But did I enjoy this? I did. It was fun. So I love you guys. Thanks for listening to me. And actually, I want to know if you answer alongside me on the questions. Like, you could just be listening to this and while I'm reading them out, think in your head, which one would you do? I would love that if you almost played alongside me with this. It's like an interactive podcast. As always, remember to be kind to yourself and live a little. Bye.